Hello, the time has come, I think, for me to do this. I don't claim to know anything. I don't consider these like critically acclaimed movies, although, their scores can speak for themselves. But these are my comfort movies. Comfort movies help me feel like me, whether I'm sad or missing home or unsure of where life is going, because with comfort movies, I know how they end, so I can just rewatch them and I'm sure of something. Is that a little too deep? Anyway, these are just some of my comfort movies that I watch. I've seen all of these definitely more than 8 times, maybe 10, but 10 might be pushing it. No, some of these have been more than 10. I'm gonna talk about why I love them, how they make me feel. They're all different genres. They're not necessarily like one thing. I watch some of these when I want to feel happy or sad or creepy or like everything's gonna be okay. I don't really know how to describe it, but these are some of my comfort movies. So if you guys are ready, go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell to get notified anytime I post. And let's get into my top 10 comfort movies. Starting with number 1. I'm actually wearing a shirt for it. And then on the back it has like the title and the director, and that is James Cameron's Avatar. This movie came out in 2009. It's actually the most grossing movie of all time. It just surpassed Endgame, so any Marvel people, if you want to try and fight me, that's fine, but we can talk about the numbers, shall we? I first watched it on a road trip as a child. It's a 2-hour and 42-minute movie, but it's quite long. I liked it. I was really intrigued by it. I think I watched it in like 2011, like 2 years after it came out. And in 2011, I was in the 6th grade, or maybe elementary school. I really don't remember the first time I watched it. Then I didn't touch it again for a few years, and then actually more than a few years. I was a sophomore in college. It came out on some streaming service, and I watched it, and I fell in love all over again. I love the story, I love the world, I really like James Cameron's movies, but obviously this one's my favorite of his. And I watch it all the time, anytime I can. I believe, yes, it's on Disney Plus, which is great, so I can just watch it then whenever. I like to clean to this movie. I've seen it so many times that I know what's happening, what's going on. I can't do things like whether any task to a movie or a TV show I've never seen before. It has to be something that I know by heart, or I will sit and watch it and won't get done what I need to get done. Side note, let's just talk about how cool Zoe Saldana is. I mean, Homegirl has been in the Avatar franchise and will be in the up-and-coming movies, and she's also in the Avengers franchise. So she is in the 2 top most grossing movies of all time, Avatar and Endgame. Good for her. Good for you, sis. I'm happy for you. She's also just a stellar actress. Her as Neytiri. Oh, I'm so excited for the next Avatar movies. I tell everybody, I'm going to the midnight screening, and I'm probably gonna see it again and again and again, because it's been like 12, almost 13 years in the making since the original came out in 2009, and I'm ready, and I know that I'm not the only one who's ready. Clearly. It's the only movie like that I really, really like. Most other sci-fi movies I appreciate and enjoy, but I would never really watch it again unless there's something super captivating about it. But it has an 82 on Rotten Tomatoes, which I feel like that should be higher, but you know what, maybe I'm just biased. I also will reference Rotten Tomatoes for all of our movies. Okay, let's talk about the next one. Also, these aren't in order of like comfort. This is just like the way I'm spouting it out. And Avatar is just on the top of my list, so I was like, I'll do that one first. Next is the 1998 movie Practical Magic. I've spoken about this many times on my channel. I love witchy, spooky things, and this movie just kind of encapsulates all of that. And Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman are just stellar in this. And Sandra Bullock, I think, is one of my favorite actresses. I think everything she's been in has just been like rock star, or whether it's Practical Magic, Miss Congeniality, Love Potion #9, The Lake House. I love Sandra Bullock and I love all her movies. If there's like an actress that I've studied and I just think her technique it's her. And she's also born in Virginia, so great minds are born in the same state. I don't know. Anyway, this movie basically is about 2 witch sisters and dealing with love and this family curse that they have about any man you love is gonna die. But It's funny, it's heartfelt, talks about the power of sisterly love, and it's just magical. It's something that I will watch year round, but especially during the fall and Halloween time, this is always at like the top of my list of things to watch. It does have 22% on Rotten Tomatoes, which isn't that good. I like it because there's romance, magic, and witches, and Sandra Bullock. So it's just a happy little spooky movie that makes me feel good. I think it's on some streaming service. I have a Roku TV and there's like all these free options, and I watched it the other day on one of the free options. So it's out there. Next. So whatever, this may seem basic, but it was one of the biggest movie franchises, and it sparked, honestly, a ripple effect of like multiple part movies and the effects that it can have on like the actors and the fan bases and how big things can get. Anyway, my next comfort movies are the Twilight series. Now, they're great. I understand there are some problematic things within the story and also the movies. Edward, the vampire love interest, is super controlling. Bella, the human love interest, makes some super big decisions at the age of 18, some of which are irreversible, and I know if I made decisions like this when I was 18, I'd probably regret them, but you know, true love. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that we could dig in and be like, this isn't, but the love and the desire to have a vampire come and find me and want to spend forever with me, it's attractive. And if you say it's not, you're lying. Robert Pattinson has been voted like the most beautiful man 8 times, maybe not 8 times, I feel like definitely twice. And Kristen Stewart is a wonderful actress. If you read the books, she portrays Bella, how Bella is written. Sometimes I think when people watch this movie, they encourage the stereotype of like, girls should smile more. She doesn't smile enough. I mean, hey, cut the girl some slack. Bella was written like this. Bella is freaking out and trying to figure out if she should die for this boy or live. And also, I found this out, the whole timeline is a year and a half. So they meet and they're together for like 5 months, and then Edward leaves the new moon and he's gone for 7 months. Then he comes back, they get married, and they have Renesmee, you know, the baby that then falls in love with Jacob the werewolf. This all happens in a year and a half. This is such a short timeline. Things were rushed, and I can admit that. But I still love it. I still watch them and I'm like, wow, they're in love and whatever. Whether or not it's a toxic love, we won't get into that. But I do watch it and I feel romance, and the soundtracks for the movies are perfect. I will listen to the New Moon soundtrack whenever I'm like editing or in the car and I just kind of want to feel moody. I will listen to the New Moon soundtrack and it's so good. So good. Oh, let's look at the Rotten Tomato scores. So Twilight has a 49% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it has a 73% for audience score, so that's pretty good. I think the rest of the movies just slowly go down. Don't really have much more to say about the Twilight Saga, but it's good. Watch it when you're feeling like you want some love. Next. So this next comfort movie, I think, really attached itself to me when I had to audition for it because I did my research, I read the play, I read the book, and I watched the 2005 movie starring Keira Knightley, which is Pride and Prejudice. It's a classic love story written by Jane Austen, and the character that Keira Knightley plays is Elizabeth Bennet, and she's considered one of the best female protagonists of all time. Elizabeth is very headstrong, especially for her time. This takes place during the 19th century, and women's rights, we'll say rights very loosely in this time because women were still considered property and all kinds of crazy things, but women's rights were definitely not what they are today. And the whole, I guess, problem within the book and the movie is that this man and his wife, Mr. and Mrs. Bennet, have 5 daughters, and none of them legally will inherit their home. None of them will be taken care of if they don't marry. So all of the women have to marry men, hopefully men with money, good social standing, you know, all those important things. And Elizabeth is very like not about it because she doesn't want to marry just for money. She wants to marry for love. Not that she ever really states that, but you kind of find that out. Anyway, she meets this man, they despise each other, and things have a way of working themselves out. And it shows you that if it's meant to be, it will be, because there's a lot of like miscommunication and ups and downs, and you think it's over between people, but then, you know, if they love each other, they will find their way back to each other. And oh, I love it. It has an 86 on Rotten Tomatoes. So amazing, off the charts. Give it a watch. It is actually on Hulu premium subscription, but I'm pretty sure I just watched it on Showtime. So if you have that, watch it. You can also rent it on YouTube for $3.99. It's a good deal. Or buy it. It's very good. Next, you know, and this one I think a lot of people will say it's one of their comfort movies, and for a good reason. And that is the 1990 movie Pretty Woman, starring Julia Roberts. And Julia is just so pretty and kind, and she's so strong in this movie. If you don't know it, it's basically about a prostitute who has an agreement with a very wealthy man to be his date for a week, and he will pay her very well. And within this movie, they realize that they kind of need each other and they can help each other. And I think any good relationship should be about helping each other. And this one begins very unconventionally, but real. It's so real. I think it's this theme of like meeting someone and then falling very quickly and realizing that you do want and need each other, regardless of the different worlds that you both come from. This movie has a 64% on Rotten Tomatoes. I actually own this DVD of this movie. I found it at Goodwill for like $1, and I was like, oh, so I bought it. But I think it's on Peacock, so you can watch it on Peacock TV if you have that subscription. If not, rent it, find it. It is rated R, so maybe not for children. So next is actually a cartoon. I actually have the VHS of this movie, and I remember when they released like DVDs, we bought a VHS player that was also connected to the little DVD player so that we could watch both of them. I think we still have it and it still works, which we need to hang on to that because I know that they don't make those anymore. Anyway, the movie is the 1998 musical, The Prince of Egypt. That soundtrack is astounding. I literally listened to it yesterday. Stephen Schwartz, who composed the music for Prince of Egypt, is a god in the musical theater world. I mean, he has Children of Eden, Wicked, Godspell, Pippin. I mean, this guy has played a huge part in the musical theater world, and it's no wonder that one of my childhood comfort movies is so good. Basically, The Prince of Egypt is about Moses in the Bible and his backstory, how he was put in a basket in the river and how he made his way to the king of Egypt and how he was raised in the palace and, you know, facing all these life choices and then realizing like things aren't actually so great with his people, and, you know, he's now being led by God to save the people of Egypt and bring them out of oppression. And it has an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I love it. I think my favorite song from that movie is Look at Your Life Through Heaven's Eyes, because it's just talking about how you may not feel as if you are worthy or what you have to offer is good, but if you look at your life through heaven's eyes, you will see that you are a treasure and that you have so much to offer, and it's good. It's so good. Watch it. Yep. Next. So this movie, what's the word? Trilogy, because I don't really associate it with the last movies that were made. I was a bit obsessed as a child, and I wanted to be a pirate because of these movies. And I'm talking about the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I don't know if it's Caribbean or Caribbean. Maybe it's like potato and potato. Anyway, I love Johnny Depp, and he was actually my first celebrity crush, which I talked about in my first ever video. I loved him and I wanted to be like him. No, I didn't really understand everything that was talked about in those movies, such as like drinking and killing and sex, but I liked it. I loved the thrill of it and the badassness of it. Honestly, like the first 3 movies are the ones that I love. So that's Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, and Pirates of the Caribbean At World's End. Did I just get all those right? I haven't watched these in a nyat. Wow. Curse of the Black Pearl came out in 2003. That is crazy. Okay, so it has a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes and an 86% for audience score. So Dead Man's Chest has a 53% tomato score and a 72% for audience rating. And then the last one has 44% tomato score and a 72% audience score. So the audiences still kind of feel the same about all of them, but, you know, the movie raters felt a little differently. I believe they're all on Disney Plus. They're on the Disney movies, so go watch them. Next is another cartoon movie. I believe I can quote this whole movie. Next is the 2000 classic Emperor's New Groove. It has an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's on Disney Plus. It's about a emperor who gets turned into a llama. I don't know how else to describe it. Anyway, the emperor is very spoiled, been spoiled his whole life. His hand, I believe is what she is, Yzma, wants to take over. She turns him into a llama, and then said llama goes through life-changing experiences and realizes maybe I shouldn't be such a crappy king, prince, emperor. I should change my ways. And it's really good. It makes you think, consider how other people live and how people have it differently than you, how some things don't come as easily for others. It's a classic and it's funny. Eartha Kitt is the voice of Yzma, and Eartha Kitt is just amazing. She's great. Paul the Lava! My neighbors are right outside my house, so I'm gonna try and not do that again. Give it a watch. It's only an hour and 18 minutes, which is like a super quick movie. I also like when she's like, oh, let me not give it away. Go watch it and we'll talk about it. Next. So do you guys remember Blockbuster? For those of you who don't, it was basically a store that carried movies. And you could go and rent. They were all like DVDs. It was once VHS tapes, and then they, you know, converted over to movies. And there was always this movie that I would get every Friday with my dad. And that is Tim Burton's Corpse Bride. It's a claymation movie, and I love movies like that because I know it took so much time to make. And movies similar to this are like Coraline, Wallace and Gromit. You know, it's artistic, patient people had to sit there and like build everything out. And I just love this movie. This movie is basically about a man who has an arranged marriage. One is marrying into money and the other thinks that they're marrying into money. Anyway, he's very, very nervous. So he goes out to the woods and he practices his vows and he puts a ring on what he thinks is a branch, but it's actually a dead woman's finger. And she comes out of the ground and she's like, yes, I will marry you. And she's like in a wedding dress, and you know, they kind of love each other but kind of don't because she's dead, he's alive, and it's spooky and it's weird and it's right up my alley. I think I love all of Tim Burton's movies. A lot of the times I love Johnny Depp and the Queen herself, Helena Bonham Carter. I think that duo works a lot together. I mean, they were in Tim Burton's Corpse Bride. They were both in the Harry Potter franchise, not together, but there. And they were both in Dark Shadows. I mean, these two work together a lot and they're both really good. They were also in Alice in Wonderland. Helena was the Red Queen with the big head and Johnny Depp was the Mad Hatter. Anyway, they work a lot together. They're very, very good. And they're in this movie together. This movie has an 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. There's a reason I would watch it every week or every other week when I would go to Blockbuster. And I also remember when I would stay with friends and their parents would take us to Blockbuster, I would always try and like tell my friends we should watch this, and I was the only one who ever really appreciated it. But that's okay, because it's good. It's good for good reason. So this brings us to my last comfort movie. I don't necessarily watch this movie year round because it is a Christmas movie, but when Christmas comes, my sister and I watch this movie and, you know, we make all the jokes that we can. And that is a 2000 movie, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, starring Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is amazing. We all know this, whether you're watching The Grinch, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, Bruce Almighty. I mean, this guy is fantabulous. I am claiming that I'm gonna work with him one day because he's so good. Anyway, this movie is the live action version of the Dr. Seuss classic, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Though this one has a 49% on Rotten Tomatoes, it is considered a favorite by many. I know that there's so many memes about this, there's so many t-shirts. You just have to watch it when it's Christmas time, and it makes me feel good because if you don't know the story, it's about this man, the Grinch, who's green and hairy, but he hates Christmas because of something that happened in his past, and through experiences, challenges, people, he then learns to love it and learns to love people, and it just puts you in the holiday spirit. And it makes me happy. So people, those are my top 10 comfort movies. I have many more movies that I enjoy for comfort reasons, but anytime that I'm feeling down or sad or just like I need something that's gonna make me feel good, I will watch those movies. Let me know in the comments down below if you like any of these movies or what are your comfort movies so we can discuss more, because I am a movie connoisseur. I don't know if I would say that and you know, this whole having good taste with movies is like pretentious as hell. I think if you like a movie and you're able to talk about it, I like to talk about it and why they're good. So don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell to get notified anytime I post. And I'll see you guys here next week. As always, keep it positive. Thanks, guys.